So version 2017 is our current version. We are announcing version 2018, and it'll be available in December of this year.
Okay.
So the interface would be very similar. We've added new functionalities and features. So the layout and interface of Visual CAD/CAM would be very similar. So it's offered in both 64-bit and 32-bit platforms.
Okay. Perfect.
So Visual CAD/CAM is our flagship standalone product. We also include Visual CAD for free, and it does offer you the ability to translate different types of file formats in here. So when you go to open, you will notice that it can bring in a wide range of file formats. You can actually go in and click on the file types that you'd like to load in here, and you can see that it has types of variety of different formats like AutoCAD files, IGEST, STEP, OBJ, Parasolid, SAT, STL, all of these file formats. So you can basically select the file type that you like to load, and so it includes all of these translators. They come with it.
Okay.
So I can display it with just a shaded display, or I can display it with the edge display on it. So there's different ways how you can display the meshes. We also have the controls to toggle off the mesh wires in here. When we go to mesh display, we can just say only display the silhouette edges, so it's not going to display each of the facets of the triangles on the mesh.
Okay.
Now if you want to do multiple of these parts, you can actually import multiple of them into the same workspace, and you can graphically or manually move them over. So you can select it, you can use the graphical manipulator tool where you can easily freeformly move them if you need to.
Okay. Okay.
Right? You can drag and drop into a workspace. You can define your sheet where you can draw the size of your sheet in here. You can say a rectangle and specify the sheet extent. You can say it starts at the origin. And typically, you said it's 4x8 sheets. Is that right?
Yeah, 18 by 24. 18 inches by 24.
Would that 18 be along X or Y?
Yep. Yeah, along X.
Okay, I can do 18 by 24. That basically draws the sheet. So it looks like this part, what we have here, appears to be in millimeter units. So we would have to scale that in here. So I could do a transform, I could do a scale, and you see that the model is selected. I want to say scale to inches, and I pick OK, and you'll now notice that the model is automatically scaled in here to the inch units, and this is 18 by 24. Now I can select this, and I can position it wherever I'd like to within the workspace. If I want to make multiple copies in here, I could actually select this part, and also there's a very nice functionality in here. I can do a move, go to the transform menu, I can do a move command. I can say make one extra copy, pick from point. I could say I want to pick from this corner right here and pick 2 point. I can use a point right there. It'll basically create a copy of that.
Okay. Okay.
So that's how easily you can make copy, and you can try to fit everything into a sheet, the number of parts you like to put in. You can also do multiple selections in here. You can select multiple parts and do it.
Okay. Okay.
So now that we defined the the part, we've just made 2 copies. I just wanted to show you, since you just emailed us one of the files in here, right? Okay, so the typical workflow in here is you would go into the mill browser. So if the mill browser is not displayed in here, you can go to Visual CAM and select mill, and we have different configurations: standard, expert, professional, premium. So for 2 and 3 axis work, the standard configuration offers a wide range of methods in 2 axis. You have these methods starting with roughing all the way to T-slot machining in 2 axis, and in 3 axis with the standard you get roughing, parallel finishing, horizontal finishing, radial machining, and spiral machining as well.
Okay. Okay.
Now, you would want to go through the process of establishing the the programming steps in here. So the first step is you go into Program tab, you define the machining process. You pick 3 axis for both 2 and 3 axis. The next step is you want to select your post processor. This would be the machine tool that you're going to be writing the code for. Do you happen to know what machine and controller do you have?
I got an OSI and a Haas.
Okay, so we have post for OSI and an Haas machine tool. So the Haas machine tool is right on the list, and we also have a post for OSI right in the down the list here. So there's one for OSI inch or millimeter. So you can select either one.
Yep. Perfect.
You can do NC, ISO, whatever is the preferred extension. We can specify it.
Yep.
And the next step is you want to build your workpiece. You could go into stock and choose box stock. And right now it's taking into account the entire extent of the drawing. So if I say ignore the wireframe, it'll only take into account the solid model that we have in here. If you say not ignore the wireframe, it takes into account everything that we have, and you can specify the thickness of the material. It could be an inch, inch and a half, whatever that is. If you need to rotate the model to optimize your sheet thickness, you can rotate the part as well. So right now it's defining as 0.95. I can round it up to a 1-inch thick material. Would that be fair enough? Okay, so you can notice that there's some thickness added on the top. You can have the part centered if you'd like. You can say align stock, and you can have the stock either flush to the top or have it centered, so if you want to remove material from both sides. Or I can just have it flush to the top for now, and then accept it, click OK. And by default, the origin is over here on the lower left corner, so if you want to move the origin to one of these corners, we can do that as well.
Okay, so no, that's great. So what I'm looking for, so you see the surface that we see on those two parts right now? Yeah. Is there a way to, I want to flip it to the other side. So the underside of that part.
So I can select these two surfaces. And I can flip it about the Y or the X. I can click on the Y and then put in 180.
Perfect.
I flip the surfaces.
So now what I want to be able to do is, and like I said, if you can do this, because this looks really simple and easy, I want the tool to cut the inside of the part, and that's it. I don't want it to come down. And, so just, the inside.
All right, that makes sense. So we could do a roughing and a finishing, or if you just want to do finishing cut, we can do finishing cuts as well.
Let's see a finishing cut.
So
I'd be using like a 1/2-inch ball nose.
So we can go ahead and select 3 axes. We could do parallel finishing. And we have an option to select part surfaces. I can select these 2 part surfaces in here. And I have the control of specifying whether I want to keep it on the tooltip on to or go past it. So I'm just going to say on it. And then specify the tool. In this particular step, I'm going to pick a 1/2-inch ball mill. Set the feeds and speeds, can be loaded automatically from the tool, or you can edit the tool and establish your feeds and speeds. And it can also be set based on the material that you're working with. And you have your clearance being set to automatic. You set your cutting parameters. They're all set. You just control your step over in here, how fine you want the cutter to step. You can specify any Z containment if needed, entry and exit, all the advanced parameters, then you pick generate. So there's your 3-axis toolpath, finishing toolpath. It's only cutting the surfaces. We'll go into the simulate tab. We can also assign properties in here where each operation can be simulated with a different color. And I can go ahead and set my simulation preferences. They're all being set right there. Go to the simulate tab and you hit the play button. That shows your verification right there.
No, that's good. Okay, let me ask you this then. Is there a way to, so let's say that's part number 1, right? Is there a way to do an engraving just above it, so just on the top surface? So I'll tell you what I'm doing. So I want to be able to cut these out as you just did, and I want to pour them with plaster. And then I'll have a solid model. But I'll probably be nesting or placing maybe 15, 16 different parts on this stock item. Now, is there a way to, let's say, see the front of the orthotic there at the top of the stock? Are we able to do a small engraving?
Yes, we have an engraving toolpath method in here. So one of the things I'm going to do here is I can extract a curve from this model. So I can go to curve modeling, and there's a command called surface boundary. So when I click on it, it actually creates a a polyline or like a silhouette around the part.
Okay.
Now I can pick that and use an engraving. It's a two-axis operation engraving. So the tool will stay right on this edge of this.
Okay.
You can pick a 1/2 inch ball, or I can even go with a smaller tool. When I pick generate now, it actually, the cutter stays on it. So if I go ahead and apply a color for the simulation in here, I'll run a simulation. So you'll notice that the tool is actually going to go just follow that particular edge.
Yep. Okay.
So it's just the cutter stays on it. So if I go ahead and run a verification with just the part on it, you'll see that the tip of the tool stays right on that particular geometry. It is not checking against the surface model. It's just basically tracing that curve that you have.
Okay.
Now if you wanted to check against the surface and do it, there's a method called curve machining in 3 axis. This will check the tool against the surface, and in this particular case you'll notice that the toolpath automatically varies, because this is where the tip of the tool needs to be, because the point of contact of the tool with the surface. Engraving will keep it on the surface. Now if you did a curve machining, you'll notice that it'll never gouge into the surface or violate it, because it's honoring the underlying 3D geometries. In the case of engraving, it just follows the curve that you specify.
Okay. Okay. Perfect.
That's engraving.
Okay. So
curve machining is available in the Pro. Engraving is included in standard as well.
Okay. So just to confirm, so I create my stock. Let's say I pull in 10 different parts. Okay.
Yes.
Am I able to like basically click all 10 parts or highlight all 10 parts and generate the tool paths, so I don't have to do one part at a time?
Absolutely. You can, in this particular step, I chose 2 of these parts. As you can see, I select 2 of these parts, and I programmed it. For the engraving, I could do the same thing. I can extract the surface boundary for both of these, and I can add both these to my regions, and we now have the toolpath.
Okay. So generating, so it just cuts on the inside. It could, if I pick all 10 parts?
Yeah, it'll just cut all of the 10 parts.
Okay. 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 Perfect. Okay. Yeah. No, this is good. Are you able to send me a quote on this?
You mean a quotation for the product?
Yeah.
Absolutely. We actually have all of our information on our website. I can.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. So once we have the toolpaths programmed, we have the roughing, the parallel finishing, and then the engraving. You can right-click and the setup, and then choose post. It's going to output both these operations to an NC file. So there's your posted output file. It shows the parallel finishing operation.
Yep.
And you have followed with the engraving. Because it's the same tool, there isn't going to be a change in the tool, so it's follows with an engraving operation. This would be the post for the OSI. If I want to post it to the Haas, I just change the post processor in the list over here, and I select Haas, and then output it, and this will output the posted code for the Haas machine tool.
Okay. Okay. Perfect.
And then you can
that's great. That's a lot easier than I thought. Yeah, that's
now,
easier
one of the powerful features we have in Visual CAD/CAM is a feature called knowledge base. Now, this operation, what you have programmed in here, you could archive and save this to a knowledge base. It's like saving the template, creating a template of machining operations. So when you have parts that requires a similar process, you don't have to go through the menu to select the tool, select the features. You just have to go ahead and load the knowledge base and associate the machining regions to it. We can also automate the selection of machining regions by doing boundary selections, where you can say pick all geometries on a certain layer. It'll pick all the curves on a certain layer. We can do automation on it. Okay.
Okay. No, that's great. So yeah, if you could send me that video, that'd be awesome. I'm going to play around with it for the next day, then I'll probably end up getting it. But no, that was great.
All right.
It looks like it's going to do everything I need.